Welcome. You're tuned to the Urban Affairs program. It's time to get up for Urban Perspectives with your host, Pete Rhodes.
Welcome. You're watching Urban Perspectives. This edition is sponsored in part by UCare and BMAnetworks.com. I'm your host, Pete Rhodes. On this episode of Urban Perspectives, we discuss youth-focused programs and their benefits in providing options for growth, careers, and positive community engagement. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Urban Perspectives. My first guest is committed to removing the institutional barriers and building partnerships designed to create college and career pipelines for young people. She has been the director of the Multicultural Affairs at William Mitchell College of Law, associate director at the Humphrey Institute and Roy Wilkins Center. She is currently the director of Equity and Diversity for the Minneapolis Public Schools. Please welcome to Urban Perspectives, Lawencia Oramalu. Oramalu.
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that back and forth.
Yeah, that's okay.
And
like
you told
I said,
me that
sometimes my son corrects me.
Oramalu?
So, Oramalu, you got it.
Got it. Thank you so much, Lawencia, for being here on this program. We had an opportunity to meet on a couple of occasions at the 100 Strong.
Yes.
And, I could tell you were a major force behind what's happening over there. So congratulations on a great job.
Thank you, and thanks for being a supporter of 100 Strong.
Oh, my pleasure. Now you are the coordinator for that program. Can you talk to us and explain the program and how it assists students with the positive community engagement tools that they need?
Right, exactly. Well, 100 Strong, it was started about 5 years ago by my boss, James Bureau, so it's kind of like his baby. And so when I came on board, I guess he had to make sure that he was passing it on to someone who was also really committed and passionate about it. And so the program is designed to bring the community into the schools. You know, a lot of times we hear people talking about the problems with the schools, and so this is an opportunity to say, okay, what, there's a problem, so I'm going to do something about it. So we want to connect community members with students so that they can see the different options that are available to them. Because I remember growing up, just seeing somebody who looked like me, who was achieving goals, and so that kind of inspired me. So that's what 100 Strong is about, building those bridges for the next generation. So we want to bring volunteers in. They're coming for 2 hours. The first part of the time they spend talking about their career path, their challenges, their obstacles, how they overcame those things. And so the young people are able to say, you know what, they overcome those challenges, I can do it too. That's a doctor, I can become a doctor. That's a TV producer, I can do it too. And so the options are endless for these young people as long as they see people who are doing those things as well.
And it really helps them to be able to engage on just day-to-day in the streets, at home, or out in the professional world. So it's really a great program. Now, you have developed sessions as well for educators. Our Story Matters, Let's Keep It Real, Race, Equity, Access, and Learning. What is their purpose?
Right. Well, so in addition to working with young people, we also provide professional development for staff within the Minneapolis Public Schools. So yeah, one of the sessions you mentioned was called Our Stories Matter. And for me, that's about, you know, when our young people open their textbooks, what do they see? Do they see anybody who looks like them? Are they hearing stories? What are the missing narratives? And so we want to help the staff to understand that we don't want just this Eurocentric history for our young people. That we have a diverse student body, and so everybody's stories matter. And we see this as a way of engaging, empowering young people. So that's kind of how we were able to start now an African American history pilot course, which we're really excited about. So the second one you mentioned was Race, Equity, Access. And so it's Let's Keep It Real, Race, Equity, Access, and Learning. So a lot of times people throw around this word equality or equity, and so part of that professional development is to help people understand there's a difference between equity and equality. Equality is about the same. So let me give everybody the same, all the schools the same. So we wanted them to know that no, equity is about giving students what they need. And so that's really important.
That's a great way of looking at it, especially from the educator's standpoint, kind of educating the educators.
Right, exactly.
Talk to us about your annual Youth Civil Rights Tour. Where did you go this year, and how does it affect the participants?
Right, exactly. So 100 Strong was James' baby. The Social Justice Fellows Program, that's my baby.
That's your baby.
That's where I'm really excited about. So we started last year as an opportunity to expose young people to civil rights history, to make it come alive. So it not only includes the Civil Rights Research Tour, but also an educational component where they take classes at the University of Minnesota last year and this year at St. Thomas. And so this year we went to Selma, we went to Birmingham, we went to Atlanta, we went to New Orleans. So they visited HBCUs, we went to Spelman, Morehouse, Clark, Atlanta, and then of course when we were in Selma, we were able to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Yeah.
So that was extremely powerful, knowing that this was the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday and the Voting Rights Act, and so it was really moving and educational for our young people.
And I'm sure to you as well.
Oh yes, definitely for me too.
Now you've been committed to closing the belief gap. Why is that important to the growth of young people, you think, the belief gap?
Right. You know, we hear about the gap in test scores and all these other things, and you hear people say that the real issue to get the core is the belief gap. And one of the people that I admire, Mr. Eric Mahmoud, he talks about the 5 gaps, and one of those being the belief gap. If young people believe in themselves, if teachers believe in them, if staff, the community, when I was growing up, I had a really strong support system. Everybody, I was surrounded by people who believed in me, so that helped me to believe in myself. So I think that that's the key to unlock, young people's potential. They believe in themselves, the teachers who are in the classroom believe in them, the principals, and so I think that will be something that will really help propel our young people for the future.
Shinning, you are a welcome addition to our communities. Thank you so much for being here. And
thank you.
We look forward to working more with you on 100 Strong.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
All right, thank you. Weekly here on Urban Perspectives, stay right there. We present Shining Stars, highlighting people, places, and events that contribute to the vibrancy of the urban community. Now, our Shining Star this week is a dynamic duo from St. Paul, Minnesota, Uprock. Their new sound has created a buzz and it's making them one of the most sought-after groups in the Twin Cities. But their commitment to youth through positive lyrical content sets them apart in the hip-hop scene. Meet them now, Uprock, here on Urban Perspectives.
I'm Roosevelt Mansfield, a.k.a. Diggy.
My name is Dean Brewington, a.k.a. Dundee.
Shades on the we rockin', yeah. Shades on the we rockin', got them. Shades on the we rockin', yeah. Shades on the we rockin', got them.
We are
Uprock. The style, I would say, it's a mix between hip hop, dub, electronic, soul, and just the feel of it all in a big melting pot.
We both have children and families, so the youth is quite directly close to us, and make sure that they understand that part of doing music and art is giving back to the community.
I'm a behavioral specialist at Washington Technology Magnet. I've been working with youth for a long time, all year round, and what I found out is music is our common language. That's how they can relate to us and we can relate to them. And to have music bridge the gap, it's very powerful.
If you gon' get in that, what? If you wanna bring it back up, if you wanna bang it, then beat it in your box and trucks in the knocks. Answer, hello, hello, hello. Who that at the show? Come on over.
Advice I would give to anyone, especially youth, is to not be afraid of who you are, not to be afraid to think different. Don't be intimidated by the norm, because the norm was original at one point. So be that, create your own norm.
I would say work really hard at anything that you really want to achieve. Dean Brewington, a.k.a. Dundee.
I'm Roosevelt Mansfield, a.k.a. Diggy of Uprock.
And you are watching Urban Perspective.
Thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. Next, we talk with the president of Positive Image, an organization committed to providing education and increased access to leadership opportunities for families and youth. Meet Terry Austin here on Urban Perspectives. Welcome back to Urban Perspectives. Our next guest has a degree in criminal justice. He is the founder and the president of Positive Image, an organization dedicated to creating opportunities for at-risk youth through a variety of programs that emphasize responsibility, accountability, and leadership training. By his own admission, experiencing the hard knocks of life gives him a unique insight on the problems and solutions for our youth today. Please welcome to Urban Perspectives, my friend, Terry Austin. Terry, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Pete. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so glad to be here with you. And you just joined the Monitors a couple of months ago. We're glad to have you on board.
I'm very excited, man. It's such a great group of guys. I've been wanting to be a monitor for a long time, and so I was great.
Well, they were looking for workers, and they know you're a worker, so get ready. Talk to us a little bit. How did the concept for Positive Image program come about, Terry?
That's a great question. We started back in 2004, almost 11 years ago. Started off with a health initiative, men's health, where we focus in on prostate cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and smoking. We're going to schools, not schools, but schools, community centers, and also churches, and put on health fairs and just assimilate health information to a lot of men and responsible fathers in the community. And as well as we had an emphasis on youth development. So we would go into middle schools as well as high schools and do goal setting workshops. And so that's how we initially got started about 11 years ago.
So that created an opportunity for various programs that you do to really affect change in our community. What are some of them?
Well, we started with the adult and youth connections with the workshops inside the middle schools and the high schools. But then we started what we call our Father's Day weekend celebration that we do every year. Third weekend in June every year. It's been going great for us as well. And out of that birthed our father-daughter deal that we do as well, that I'm very proud of. Started off with with just 150 folks, and now we're up to 500. And so we do a fatherhood summit that we do right before Father's Day. And then we have a back to school celebration that we do as well, where we raise backpacks for at-risk youth. And then at the tail end of the year in December, we have a night of giving, where we have a social hour that we have, and we ask everyone to bring a hat, coat, and gloves, and we raise almost 500 items there as well.
Speaking of which, it takes support to do these type of things. How has the corporate community, local corporations, been in helping Positive Image, and how has the community been accepting what you're doing?
Well, the community has been great. I think one of the things that I believe in is that we have to make sure that the business community gets bought in to the mission that you're doing, because in order to have sustainability, I think if you grab hold to the business community, they have employees, they have in-kind donations that they can have as well. So the business community has been very well with our Positive Image as far as giving us resources that we need to sustain some of the programs that we're doing.
That's great. Now, in your opinion, Terry, could this be done? What can be done? Not could this be done, but what can be done to alleviate the growing youth tensions that we're now seeing in our communities?
Well, Pete, I truly believe that if we can establish institutions of education, get those folks that are in our the college institutions to come back to the community, the business community to come back to our community, as well as to the church leaders, is we can get all those institutions to work together and have a focus on men to be more visible in our community. I think we can somewhat alleviate some of the youth problems that we have. Can you imagine 100 men showing up to a school board meeting? Or can you imagine 100 men just showing up at the park? How much tension that will size just because of showing more men being visible in our community. So I think if we can show more of those positive images of men in our community, I think it would help alleviate some of the violence that we see with some of our youth.
You've been doing such a great job. How has this affected Terry Austin in terms of your growth?
Well, I think just giving back, man, it's something about when you give back to your community and you give in such a selfish way where you're not looking for anything as far as a monetary thing in return. When you see that you can affect someone's family or their relationship with their daughters, it gives you more fuel to go out and to want to do more. And with men, we're very competitive. So when a man or father see me doing something, he may have the urge to go out and do something else as well. So it's a motivating factor for each of us to teach one and to just groom another person. And I think if we can just continue to do that, I think we can help rebuild our community.
Coming up again this year in June, as you always do, is the picnic and the Father's Day dinner. That should be fun.
Pete, I'm so excited to have you on board with us as well. This is our 7th year doing our Father's Day weekend celebration, so I'm just very excited. We have a dinner, we have a barbecue, we have a golf event, and also we have a health fair that we do at one of the nearby churches in North Minneapolis, New Salem Missionary Baptist Church. So I'm just so excited, man, to do so much.
Well, I'm excited for you. You exude excitement when you come about asking for our participation. I'm glad to be a part of it, and thank you so much for the work you really do here. It's a thankless job sometimes.
Sometimes it is.
But somebody got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it.
God planted you in the right spot.
Hey, Pete, thank you so much for all the work you do.
Thanks again. So much.
Thanks again.
Coming up, we'll talk with a seasoned community relations professional whose focus is to create awareness for youth of the programs and careers available through the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. Hear about them next on Urban Perspectives. Joining me next is a professional who has over 2 decades of experience in corporate management, media, and government. He is a past board chair for the Minnesota Council of Nonprofits, board member of the Metropolitan Regional Arts Council and the Institute of Production and Recording. He is currently serving his 2nd term as the director of the Central Region with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. Please welcome to Urban Perspectives, Keith Parker. How you doing, Keith?
Thank you, Pete. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good, man. We go back a little ways in terms of almost all of those things when you're working over at NPR or some of the other things that you've been doing over the years. You've been a great resource and asset to our community. So appreciate having you here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, and thank you for the platform that you've created as well.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
What does the Minnesota, everybody wants to know in my office in particular, and probably others, what does the Minnesota DNR do, and what do you oversee?
Yeah, there's many things that the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources does, but the short answer to that is that we manage all of the state's natural resources, state parks, lands and minerals, fish and wildlife. So anything to do with the state's natural resources, we are the regulating agency that manages those natural resources. And so my role with the department as the regional director for Central Minnesota, which is 23 counties where we currently reside, and where most of the population also lives in the state of Minnesota. I'm the administrator for this region, and so I serve at the pleasure of the commissioner, and I oversee the DNR's activities here in the region.
Yeah, great, great.
Yeah.
Now, outdoor recreation, as we know, because of all the things that young people can do, is somewhat in decline. So what is the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources doing to create urban participation programs for youth and their family?
Absolutely, yeah. We have recognized that over the past decade, outdoor recreation is in decline. There's many reasons for that. Our response to that is within our strategic agenda. Our goal is to connect people to the resource so that they understand where the resource is, how they can engage with natural resources and outdoor recreational activities, whether that's canoeing or hiking or bird watching or hunting, fishing, all of those things. And then we also recognize that the demographic of our state is really changing, and that we need to really instill the values of conservation in our community in hopes that younger generations will start to pursue careers and also care about the natural resource.
Speaking of which, how does the DNR determine how these resources are used, who uses them, how we use them properly?
We have, focus groups that we do. We also, are the licensing and permitting agency for fish license, hunting, boating. So, we use some of that data to determine who's using the resources. But we also recognize we can't do it alone, so we partner with Minneapolis Parks and Rec, St. Paul Parks and Rec, Conservation Corps of Minnesota and Iowa to really kind of co-sponsor programs to get people outside and get people educated about the resource. And we use those methods also to kind of monitor citizens' engagement with the natural resource.
Yeah, because it always seems if you do overfish, they always catch you.
Yeah.
How many fish you got in there?
Right.
Which is important because we don't want to overuse our resources because the future wants to use them as well.
That's right, so that's part of, and our conservation officers, I'll give a shout out to them. They do a really good job. They have a difficult job because, that natural resource, it's bountiful, it's plentiful, but it's not sustainable if we overuse it. And so our goal is to create that sustainability, help people understand what their responsibility is in that regard and what their opportunity is as well.
For sure. Now, after distinguished careers in the corporate world, How did you come to be here at the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources?
Yeah, it's been a really circuitous route, kind of like the river. It's been an interesting journey for me. You know, when I worked for Twin Cities Public Television, and you and I knew each other back then, and we were creating programming with nonprofits, one of the organizations we created programming with was the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources. And so I was the executive in charge on the public television side when we partnered with the DNR. And so when Governor Dayton came in and he appointed Commissioner Landwehr, the commissioner called and wondered if I'd be interested in leaving public television and actually coming over to the DNR. Which I wasn't sure about because you know, I'm a communications professional, not a natural resource person. But he said that's exactly what we need. We need somebody who can be a dot connector, someone who can be effective at understanding the community and helping us with our outreach and our administering of our programs.
You've been doing a great job at it.
Thank you.
We had a meeting no soon as you were sitting on the board there, here about some of the things that we're going to be doing and how we can do it to help do the outreach. So great work, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Now, how important is the work that the DNR does to create opportunities to utilize the natural resources of our park? So, in other words, the programs, talk to us a little bit about the programs that you have in place this summer so we can use them, so the kids can use them and so forth.
Oh, thank you, we have I Can programs, so I can fish, I can camp, you know, and the goal of those programs that we administer is to teach people how to do those things. You know, not everyone knows how to camp. You know, myself, for example, I was born in Chicago, but I grew up here, and my family camped. My father fished, so I had someone who showed me those things, but many people don't. And so our programs are designed to help people, and we co-sponsor and sponsor different events in partnership, like I mentioned, with Minneapolis Park and Rec, St. Paul Parks and Rec. We have events where people can actually learn how to do archery, they can learn how to canoe, they can learn how to fish. And so we have something coming up with Powderhorn Park June 6th. So we encourage people to get out there and check out our website and also check out Minneapolis Parks and Rec website for those events.
Keith Parker, keep doing the great work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Pete. You too.
And stay busy as you always do. All right,
appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching Urban Perspectives. I'd like to thank my sponsors, UCare, healthcare that starts with you, BMAnetworks.com, my guest, our shining star, and you, of course, the audience, for getting up with Urban Perspectives. Visit our website at urbanperspectives.tv for information on our guests and where you can find links to previous broadcasts. And you can help us grow by liking our Facebook page. Remember, there are so many amazing people and positive stories in our cities. Watch for them right here on Urban Perspectives. Now enjoy the photos of the week as we theme on youth featuring the Minnesota Twins Phyllis Wheatley Student Celebration. I'm Pete Rhodes, and I'll see you next week.